Okay, we're going to start another segment. It is Thursday, actually starting of the afternoon, and we are on this 33 Dodge 5-window coupe. And when I say we, myself and the client that owns it. So we just got done test fitting and bolting on both sides of the exhaust up in the front, and once we lower the car down, I'll be able to finish receiving the brackets with bushings up to the frame of the car. I already have these set in, these bushings, both sides. It looks really nice. So the next thing we're going to do, we picked up the drive shaft and we're going to test fit it. And I'm sure it's going to be just fine. So that'll be the next move. And so once it's actually in place, I will chime back in, so stand by. It's the next day, it's Friday, and I'm back. And there's a couple of things going on at the same time. And one of them is the steering column, along with the hookups to the ignition switch, and so forth. So there's items underneath there, under the dash, that actually Daniela is dealing with right now. Yesterday, myself and the client actually put the steering column in, and we took care of the exhaust, for the most part, underneath the car. So, in the meantime, I have desperately trying to get belts to come across the front part of the pulley, get up and around, and so far I have not had the right luck for size. It's been too short. And the too short one would be this one, the one that I have now in my left hand. So I've been having an issue with getting the right size belt within reason, and I know I can adjust both. That's not the problem. But to make it all work. So in the meantime, the power steering pump is partially mounted. That's working out so far so good. But I need to create a little diversion for the belt, because even though I move this up, as you can tell, I drilled and countersunk another hole for this bracket to bring this up, which gives me more flexibility on the smaller belt if need be going to the larger belt. So that worked out well, and now I thought that would help with lining the belt up to go from that pulley to the crank pulley, which not 100%. So came up with an idea, and the idea is this pulley. It's a stationary one, and I'm going to, and started to, and we'll finish to making a mounting bracket. And that's not going to be the finished product. It's just moving along, and the one end will go into, put that there, the water pump. Like these. Yep. And obviously will be tightened up. Plenty of thread to make that tight. And then you put a shorter bolt on for the pulley, so you have a real good idea. Then this, with the spacer between the pulley and the bracket, will end up here. Hopefully it doesn't fall. Then that'll allow for this pulley, this belt, and this pulley to work together, which then gives me all sorts of room for the power steering pump. So for me, that works out great. And in all actuality, it wraps the belt around the crank pulley even more, which is even better. So I got to finish mocking this up, make the right size spacer. The bracket is the right length that I need. I'm just going to trim down the sides and create basically a racetrack looking part. It's pretty thick steel. It'll definitely hold up, and that will take care of this problem for this here to go the way I need it. So that's what I came up with. That's what I'm working on, and I can't wait to have that done and out of the way. And maybe I won't return this belt, but just get a bigger belt than I need for this one. But also, the belt they gave me for this serpentine and this is a little too big. So they're supposed to have a shorter one for me later, about 4 o'clock. And the lines for this, the pressure side, will be at another place waiting on me to pick up later on. So in the meantime, stand by. Okay, here we are. And the pulley setup is complete other than paint. I made the plate, the spacer, there's the hardware, and in a second you're going to see the full movement that I want and need for power steering unit. All the way over, not that it'll be there, but because this is right about here is where roughly it's going to end up, which will allow to obviously check, get that focus better. See? No problem. Plenty of room. Yep. Put that back on. Perfect. And I got the clearance I need over here for the return. There's, from the bottom of this to that, it looks like 2.5 inches. But plenty of room for the return side of things. And that's that. So I'm going to take it all apart, paint the bracket, the bolt, the spacer, and that will satisfy everything here. And then I can even tighten up on the belt even more because it needs to be. So I'm actually going to keep this belt, and whatever size this was going to be over here, they have to get me a bigger one. So that will take care of that. Absolutely. And I just got to wait on the supercharger belt, and which will tie into the crank, the belt sensor, power steering. Alright, so stand by for the next move. Good afternoon, it's Saturday, and all of a sudden, I'm getting a call, but this individual is going to have to wait. Always calls at the wrong time, but nevertheless, it's actually Saturday. That's right, Saturday, and I'm here with this 33 5-window Dodge Coupe. And there's a special reason for that. Yesterday, Daniela was working with me. I had her in the cabin dealing with the steering column and ignition switch. And initially, Daniela had the original steering column in hand. There was a problem with it. When I drove it even, the whole steering center section of it, maybe where it tilted, it had an enormous amount of play. So I was instructed that she was to repair it, get parts, whatever. That end of it failed. She had the client order a new one. Keep in mind, she had it in her hands. Ordered the wrong one. Not 100% wrong, but it didn't come with the ignition in the steering column like what was in the car. So in saying that, it has been a couple of months, 2 months, since the steering column has been purchased, and it would be difficult to return it to get a different one. So myself and the client opt out to get an external ignition switch. So I guess I felt as though, well, because Daniela dealt with that, unfortunately got it wrong, I'm going to let her deal with hooking the setup up. It's not difficult. It really isn't. You know, it is what it is, but I gave her that task. I don't know really what the task, the depth of it in her mind consisted of, but I really feel as though, in deep down, that it should have been done in 4 hours. At least the ignition switch wired up, was right there alongside of each other, wired up and mounted, if anything. And I did correspond with her throughout it to help her with a couple of things she needed to know. In the meantime, I was working on the front of this engine because I had to come up with a solution, as I stated in just a prior one of my videoing here. And now I have the parts made and painted, and I'm about to install the pulley that I decided to add to the front of this block to assist me in this setup right here. But before I put this pulley on, I'm going to put the power steering piece in there so it's easier for me to get my hands in there and make that happen. So I want to show you a part of what I had to do. So the mounting brackets that the client ordered were good ones. Out of the 3 parts, the one works. So it comes with 2 of these, and I'm able to use the rest of the hardware except for this one piece, which is fine. It works out well because I have to space the pump with the serpentine belt to match up with the pulley on the front of the harmonic bouncer, the crank, here the supercharger, and the belt tensioner, which is fairly simple. It's no rocket science. But at the same time, mounting that and getting that set up, I couldn't have the new second pump not work. So, where is that baby? Right here. So here it is. It's got the serpentine pulley on there. And actually, this is the same exact setup that I have on the 57 Chevy, 100%. 100%. It's smaller than the other one that we got. It's more conducive, so this one works. So, but I had to mill a hole, which I'll bring you in on, so that I can have 2 mounting points, one on the bottom, and I believe the other one will be here, the middle one. So those 2 areas will be strong enough. And if I have to add more, then I'll do it later on if need be. The other bracket that's got some nice workable features, and I will just incorporate that if that so be it. So I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you the pieces that I made, painted, and then I'm going to install it, and then I'll chime back in. So let me show you. And keep in mind, I don't work on clients' cars on Saturday and Sunday. Sure! Okay, so I milled the slot to even give me a little bit more adjustment if need be. All the belt tensioning for this is right here. So just in case I need a little movement either way, which you can make this be like this. So all the pieces are made. Simple stuff, nothing hard. And the bolt, and there's the nut, and there's the pulley. So I'm going to mount them, get them in place, and I'll get back with you. So hang in there and stand by. Okay, as you can see, the setup is in. Even the belt is on. The belt's a little bit too small, so I actually have another one on its way. But at least I have it all mocked up. And the reason why it's a little bit too small, even though it's on there, because part of the alternator is just touching the valve cover. And being that there is a lot of room for an adjustment, what they're sending me, I believe, will work quite well. Now, the next spot of interest is the line that goes to the pump. And there's more than 2 choices, but the actual line that is made for this pump, I could use it, and I'm going to show you, but I'm not going to take that route. I have a better route, a more comfortable route, because I actually want it to go a certain way. So the one that is actually made for that is this line right here. And you would think that this end, the way it's shaped, that it would be the way it would go on to the pump, because the port is right here on the top. And that's not the case. This end here, the brass looking end, goes there. It goes right in like this. And I could use it. There is clearance. The belt would not be in the way. It's just, I don't want to route it that way. I don't like having to put it like this. Very much can be used. And it's not expensive. I think this is probably like $28 to $30. I know it's under 30, and it's all good and well, but I have something better, and it's being used on the 57 Chevy. So we're going to order this one up, the new one, the one I like, better because I'll show you why. This configuration right here, and it comes with the banjo nut that belongs in there, goes in same place, and actually there's a bracket on this that goes to the back of the pump. It comes with the bolt. Terrific. And I believe it's made by Holly, just to let you know. And the way this one goes on, I'm going to put it in place and then show you. And you'll see why I like it better. I hope you can see it. That's where the banjo nut would go in, and how it circles around. You can see the bracket, and then the port is behind it. Perfect. Because once the hydro system is in, the steering box is there, it'll all work out. And I got a call. Oh, hang tight. Alrighty. So that was actually the auto parts store, Advance. And I gotta say this. If I could make it happen, I would open up an auto parts store, and that auto parts store would put a hurting on a lot of these ones around here because of the lack of abilities and knowledge that I feel that the stores, whether it's Advance, AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Napa, whatever, that the staff should have. All they know is a computer. They ask stupid questions, as you've seen on the internet. It's like when you go in there and ask for a windshield wiper fluid, well, what year, make, and model is the car? You know, windshield wiper fluid. Yay. But this had to do with belts. And I even had to say to the manager that I deal with, because I'm not comfortable dealing with the other people because their abilities are very limited, and they've been there for years, and you'd think they'd learn something by now, but they don't. So it got to the point where I said to the manager, I go, you know darn well for as many years I've been dealing with you, I will not shortchange you. If anything, they owe actually the client money. We don't owe them money. They owe the client money because we're getting the main one. The serpentine is 2 inches shorter. Hopefully it'll work because the one we ordered was too big. And they'll be getting money back. And now the other belts, they already did one exchange, was an even exchange. There wasn't no difference in price. And the same with the third one. So he had to call me back to say, well, they want to pay for it. And I said, they most certainly want to pay for it. I had to straighten them out. I get annoyed with this stupidity behind people. I mean, it's overwhelming. And if I had an auto parts store, it would be a custom auto parts store. And the people that would work there, I'd make sure they were at least 50 years and older and had the knowledge to think outside the box, not necessarily have to go to the computer and ask stupid questions like what year, make, and model in order for me to give you a windshield wiper fluid. That's just it. I'll leave that alone. But I just took the belt off because they're coming here to exchange the belts for me. Hallelujah. Can you imagine that? And like I said, this one is a little bit too short. It's a little tight. And I don't want to deal with that. I want it to be comfortable, and it will be comfortable. But as you can tell, this choice, which is made by Holly, as in Holly Carburetor, they make this fitting. So we will get this, and this will be the style that I will be using. But this is for the 57 Chevy, and that's where it's going to go back right now. But in the meantime, that is all now happy. It's very happy. Yeah, and I'm happy that this is being done, even though it's Saturday. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Alright, so this is going to go back in the little box that it came in. And in a little bit, they'll be showing up because I'm not that far from them. I'm actually probably just a 6-7 minute ride from them. And if there's traffic, then it'll take 10 minutes. But got all three ready. So all I can do is hope that I don't have to keep going back and forth with this, because yesterday, the first part of the day, an hour and a half's worth before we actually really got started on it, I was at a different auto parts store to get this pulley and other stuff as far as ordering these. Oh, not again. Man. Sometimes I just want to be left alone so I can do my damn job. And they know I'm busy. Alrighty, so just going to go back in the bag, because Monday I will take this back and get a refund for this part. Actually, two of them. I thought I was going to end up using this one, but no, I like my second choice better. So this is actually from AutoZone. They did do good. They got me what I wanted. It is made for that pump, but I could use it. It's not like I can't. I just like my second choice better. And it's about what I feel should it be, not what'll actually fit on there. That's how I see that one. You better stand corrected, baby. You better recognize. All right. That's going to go back. So, all these are here. That's there. So, what's next? Actually, what I'll have to do is, once the belts come, I'm going to try to fit them on, make sure they work, and then from there, move on to the next phase. If all the belts work, then I'm happy. Then I'll just once we put the Hydro Boost setup in, actually the universal joint came in, so I'll be seeing that on Monday. Once that setup is done with the steering column, then I'll move on to the Hydro Boost. So that's the plan. And I even made a call out to a buddy who used to have a transmission shop, because I want to see if there's some alternatives to this 700R4 with the cable and what the plug setup is. And the plug setup that's on the top of the transmission is probably for the reverse light. Maybe, I'm not sure, but this car don't have it. But I will be installing some rear lights, and I'm going to go from there. And it'll just be on a toggle switch. I want to try to finagle all that and try to figure out what pin that you can't see because of where it's at, and then try to tie it into the steering column with the the reverse setup. It just, here's the switch, hit the switch, back it up, turn the switch off, take off. That's how that's going to be. We don't want to delay this any longer than necessary. So for now, that's the plan, that's the scoop, and that's going to end this segment on this 1933 Dodge 5-window coupe. And it is Saturday, I'm going to say that again. I'm just reaching out there, and this BeHave Saturday's work is my donation, basically, is what it boils down to, because of what I was speaking about before with the steering column. So, and I'm not happy with that, and that's just the way I'm handling it, and that's that. So in the meantime, I hope you all enjoy it. If you haven't subscribed, please do though. Give me a thumbs up, make a comment. If you got any questions, hopefully I'll see them, and hopefully I'll get to answer them. So until then, have a great one, and try to get something done.